I'd like to focus on generative AI. There is so much hype in the sense there is very less testing and validation that goes into some of the data and the algorithms. In short, I think it iteratively allows us to create and improve unstructured data, like Liz mentioned. I mean, you can give text, voice, code, or images. This is a very big addition to associations' productivity in the sense you don't need manual work in transferring unstructured data to structured content and then perform automated activity. Rather, the workflow could automatically intake any unstructured data component and can streamline into the next step in the workflow process in the enterprise, right? So that's one. And I also think associations, typically larger associations, have a lot of data. It could be customer data, member data, employee data, or even partners data, right? Or even some stakeholders that they associate with. Like, for example, we are here, we have participants and panelists and an event going on. So with generative AI, we can see efficiency gains and cost savings, especially in marketing and sales. A lot of content generation, including visual representation, can be automated, integrated into your organization's workflow with very less changes to the existing workflow. Another is operations, and definitely if an association has some engineering work going on, let's say they're building a software for their members or partners, that could also benefit from automation and also data streamlining. One of the major areas where I have worked predominantly is in risk management and financial and legal data. Some of the financial legal implications for an association or its members or customers is really complex. They come with a lot of deadlines and they are constantly evolving. And if you're an association built not just regionally but globally, then you have a lot of such regulations, risk management, financial, tax, and legal implications that are specific to multiple countries. You should share data, like Liz mentioned, federated between countries, but also have some specific controls within your organization. So I think that's an area where associations can benefit and are being used. Lastly, I want to touch upon R&D, right? So there is a lot of R&D that can go into helping customers, members with innovative activities. It may not be, let's say, building a product or a service, rather how can you improve your day-to-day operations and give better service to your customers, bring better customer experience. If you have multiple channels, let's say you're on the web as well as on mobile or on a different chatbot service, how can you provide 24/7 service, but reduce the burden on your support teams? Give a personalized attention to your customers, but it doesn't replace your work. Rather, you as an employee or association member is going to focus on other high priority tasks and leave this automation to AI, right? So those are some examples I wanted to highlight. I also want to talk about how does diversity, equity, and inclusion play into this, because I come from a socio economic impact analysis background. And if you have members within your association, so if they do not have, let's say, the right digital record or the right data, or they belong to certain set of demographics, if you are using artificial intelligence within your association, how do you ensure it does not have discriminatory bias, especially unconscious bias based on historic data? So we are not let's say, denying access to membership to some of these members, right? And the same would apply to your customers. The same can apply to, let us say, your partners, all right? So someone is trying to get a partnership with your association, your finance department or partnership department is trying to run some analysis. And if you have AI in place, how do you ensure that it is inclusive, but also it generates better analytics and insights based on data that you have currently, plus also how does it help your decision makers with the future prediction of a better customer or a member profile, right? So here it's extremely important to ensure that the algorithm doesn't have unconscious bias, So what I typically recommend is a human integrated decision making. So leave all the complex tasks to the algorithm, but also have a human um, able to look at the decisions and then finalize the decisions. So that way you have efficiency from the algorithm plus also a human element to avoid unconscious bias within your association. So you have to build a tighter ethical AI governance that's very critical along with a clean set of data. Except core companies that are really having, let's say, 70 to 80% of their operations or innovation departments in AI, it's very rare or difficult to see AI ethics and privacy policies integrated into an association's mission, vision, values, and so on. I think so. It's going to be a very long road ahead to make it a mainstream practice, because what we are asking is for AI companies and non-AI companies to commit to upholding ethics, culture, privacy, security on their mission statements, in addition to the day-to-day value that they provide to their customers. So it's I think, a very long way to achieve this. But one example I can add to what Liz mentioned is definitely European Union is a little bit ahead of their game. It's not only recommending some of these guidelines for compliance, but it is also putting forward laws. They are legally laws for AI or a non-AI type of organization to comply with, whether you are core technology focused or industry focused, right? So something like, let us say, one of your mission statements could be you commit to uh, data-driven decisioning, but also add in something like, let's say, unbiased data. We commit to unbiased data sets, right? Define the principles. And another example of one such recommendation followed by few organizations at the moment is how do you ensure that you are not just having ethics and values as a separate department, but rather it's integrated to every association member, top down and bottom up, and is practicing it. So that should not be difficult to integrate into your core mission. And some of these are becoming laws than just guidelines to allow, let's say, non-AI companies to follow suit. Within the financial services sector, I may slightly have a different approach in terms of it's not only data and decision making and eliminating bias, not technically, as well as putting in governance, it also impacts enterprise cultures, right? So how do we ensure team building? Because a lot of it is dependent on trust culture, but also drives a lot of accuracy in performance for the organization. So when you are able to incorporate AI into some of your governance and adoption, I think it's extremely important to ensure the top-down approach also is done correctly, right? So some of the culture and team building is driven by the C-suite or the board of directors at an association. So it's important for them to ensure that their teams at multiple levels are compliant with ethical standards and governance. So they're given the right training, they are aware of the organization's mission and values, plus also more importantly, sometimes ensuring inclusion, financial inclusion, ethics, socioeconomic factors are not day-to-day job responsibilities of middle management and lower management, because they have typically their KPI. So it's up to the top management to tell them that it's a safe space to explore all these alternate options. They should be able to support the quality and integrity of the culture, and there should be open sharing, meaning, let us say, if you are coming up with some issues in terms of bias or some quality aspect of data, the middle and lower management should be open to express, share, and of course, like Liz mentioned, go about with a shared responsibility concept. But some of this top-down culture establishment is really important, especially in the financial services sector. And I think it applies to associations as well, right? So when it comes to driving accuracy and performance across departments. We also know at least more than 75% of C-suite of board of directors think that if they are not able to either implement or scale AI within their association or organization, within the next 4 or 5 years, they may risk going, let's say, out of trend with their customers or members, right? But then they also acknowledge that it is going to be a struggle to scale or implement within diverse locations in their organization, right? So we know it's critical, but there is a struggle to scale. And how do we bridge that? One of the things that I've tried and tested successfully is to leverage public-private partnerships, right? So the associations can leverage on their partnership community. It may not be just private partnerships. There are a lot of public, government and non-profit frameworks and support that you can leverage to get around, let's say, build a better ethical, privacy-oriented, resilient AI infrastructure. So I suggest focus a lot on partnerships to scale quickly, to kind of cross the hurdles of the initial challenges. And also, I think you should create a task force, right? So within your organization, have diverse set of works in that, create a roadmap, and then pick few set of investments. So don't try to overhaul the entire association in one go. Maybe pick few critical use cases, automate certain business processes, see how it goes, how it performs, learn from it, and then try to implement it in the, let's say, the next department or the next region or your next office location, right? So I think it's critical to ensure having a task force that's set to do this, but also work in partnership with others to scale quickly and without a lot of struggle.